Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
So after their friendship circle,
They all kiss.
mwah, bro, kiss.
Azriel's just like, ooh.
And maybe I'll get close some more.
Yeah, leaning in that way a little extra. Elaine's just in betwixt them.
I don't think Azriel has shown anything towards Mor since he got in a fight with Yarros.
In leading up to that, he's specifically avoided showing anything to Mor always.
Yeah. So after their friendship circle, it's now just Mor and Feyre, I'm assuming on top of a hill, having a moment. She looks into his eyes and recognizes he has less stars in his eyes than normal. And what I thought of this time, and I wish that I thought of this sooner, Men in Black, the Galaxy Marvel scene. Do you remember that?
It's Orion.
Yeah, I wonder if Faye
Orion,
eyes...
the cat. I lied, it's the galaxy.
Yeah, I wonder if Faye eyes are like that. The galaxy, where you look into them, you can see deeper and deeper. Do you remember the scene where they like hold it up and look into it and it just goes on and on and on, zooming in? I wonder if their eyes have depth to that when you kind of rethink of how she describes everyone's eyes.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. Because up until then, I just imagined there were flecks.
I think it's literal
No,
stars.
Good job, yeah.
And like the flames or the silver eyes, like if it was...
changed the whole visual.
Yeah, I wish that I had thought of that sooner. I think that it's...
Yeah, reread the books now with just those parts.
that level of depth to their eyes.
That's why Lucian's metal eye is such a focus. She's like, God damn it. Like, the rest of these are so cool, and meanwhile, he's got this damn mechanical eyeball. But
Well, I was super excited to share the Men in Black Galaxy
It changes
as eyeballs.
you're
Yep.
right. That's super cool.
So they're having this moment, a heart to heart, and Feyre shows him another tattoo. Did you catch this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And then
she
he
gets
shows
another.
her another tattoo.
Yes, and then she unglamours the Carver and Bryaxis as her mating gift. I never got you a gift, but here you go. And I think that was a way to excuse her not leaving a note and not telling him anything because it was a gift. It needed to be a secret.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. But then again, Rhys does the exact same shitty behavior with the Weaver. So
In their moment,
it's in the same pod.
after they both do it, almost reminds me of like a 90s sitcom, like, oh, you.
She does this with Rhys all the time. This is my pet peeve. The way Feyre interacts with Rhys sometimes. She's like, you. It's very 90s sitcom where
Yeah.
they bring up, she's like, we're not going to get to fuck. And he's like, we can do it over there in the shed with the swords. I can make it work. And she's like, oh, stop it. Yeah, but it's very 90s. Like they've been together for 20 years. I don't know, man.
Well, my version of that is like, oh my God.
You know,
when
we've
you
been
say
together
shit
so
like that.
long. We're that couple's been together almost 20 years.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
15.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been here for most of them.
Goodness.
It's crazy. It's been a good time.
Yeah.
It was a good run.
Well, I mean, we were teenagers, so, I mean, we're still young, right? Right?
Yeah. Okay.
This is the moment when she tells him what it was like with the mirror. Feyre says she loved what she saw within herself and tells him more than she did to us of how she reacted to it. And I think Rhys, if he saw what she saw, he would love her still.
Yes.
The type of love he has shown would be, I don't think he would have any reserve and he would have accepted her immediately.
Tamlin would still love her with what she saw in the mirror. This is the thing. Love is
No.
that fickle.
But yeah, it was just a nice moment of realizing how much he loves her and how well the author has shown us this, that when I consider if he saw her that way, he would still love her. Like, if I was turned into a worm, would you still love me type of thing?
Yeah.
If Feyre was turned into that beast, would he still love her?
It would just be bestiality.
Yes.
Wormiality.
So the Weaver shows up with Ianthe's jewel and Rhys shows his tattoo, which
He kind of got the tramp stamp, actually.
I thought it was like one right behind his ear.
He did.
Yeah.
It's like he got a design and shit, not just an armband.
Yeah.
She got shittier tattoos. Rhysand's like, I myself am something of an artist. Here's what I want. Like, I don't know. In my brain, that's what he's...
So she's collected how many tattoos? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wait a minute. Oh, you're counting the I'm a high lady tattoo.
The first tattoo, the second tattoo,
You're counting
2 wristbands, and a back tat.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work.
All for free.
Is it for free?
No.
Her mortal soul or immortal soul, whatever you want to say, is eternally tarnished.
So neither one of them left any notes and have done stuff behind each other's backs. And Feyre only made good on one of these deals. She hasn't made good on anything with Bryaxis. Nobody's gone to talk to Bryaxis about life.
She did.
When?
She and Amren went down there.
To make the second deal.
Yeah, but upon doing it, when she shows up, he's like, oh, what did you come for? She's like, came to make good on the deal. We're here to talk with you. And then she's like, so the second deal, what do you want? And he's like, I want to see the stars.
I don't think they made that skylight yet.
I think he's outside right now. He can see stars all he wants to. It depends. If I'm the lawyer in this scenario, I'm really going through it.
All right.
Just saying.
I'll let it slide.
I'm not normally Team Feyre, but I got to give it to her. If you're going to make a deal with somebody, don't make it Feyre.
Chapter 70.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Wait, what?
You brought up how there were fewer stars in his eyes.
Yeah.
And then she's like, are you scared? He's like, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
That was powerful. That's the first time Rhysand's shown fear.
His voice breaks at one point, too.
This is what I'm saying. This is a big deal.
He was really, truly feeling like, this is the war that I lose my friends in.
Yeah, he said, and also he tells Feyre, he's like, well, okay, this is a little fun, too, because he's like, when we're all dead, and we are clearly going to be finished off, but after everybody's dead, you go hide. She's like, I wouldn't go hide. And I'm thinking, like, you want her to stick around until everybody else is dead? What if she gets murdered before somebody else does?
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, he said, when we're all finished and things are still looking grim, you go escape, try to regroup, do something else. And she's just like, I wouldn't do that. And we're like, yeah, we know. You wouldn't do that.
That's why Amren has you tied to the cauldron right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's your proverbial tree.
So chapter 70, the war actually is beginning. Yeah. Rhysand misted a massive amount of soldiers.
I thought you'd love that.
That was freaking cool. Yeah. I actually heard this one. I didn't hear the other one. Bryaxis and the Bone Carver. Bryaxis and the Bone Carver.
No, I want you to do it again with the accent. The Bone Carver. Boy, who's that young boy? He's the Bone Carver. He's the Midnight Carver. You think your bones just stay that way? No, I'm over there carving them in the middle of the night while you sleep. I'm so glad you get that reference.
I make that reference so many times at work just because I enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh, good. Everybody gets the Midnight Barber thing.
Now that's all I'm going to think of with the Bone Carver. Thankfully, he's been killed off.
Oh, wow. Her grown son, and you're rejoicing.
I hope that's...
You're a monster.
Well, Bryaxis and the Bone Carver are obviously incredible. Just badass, slaying everybody.
Were you a little disappointed with how the Bone Carver was doing it?
No.
Oh, me neither. But where were you picturing him swinging?
I didn't...
I think she says it's like a hunk of bone, but he's out there just wielding.
I was picturing a child fighting. I forgot that they did tell us he transformed into an Illyrian, so I thought it was...
Right.
I forgot about that part.
Child Illyri. So I think she describes the weapon he's using as like ivory, right? Which I took it as it's like a bone, but he's carved into a sword.
Oh, right. Cool.
That made me think of that game, Hollow Knight, with his nail.
Yeah.
But then she's like, he's out there just whimsically mowing through them, and they're trying to block, but he's just, with the slightest touch of this bone, they're dying. Right? He's not having to eviscerate them. They're just...
I thought it was going to be less hand-to-hand. I thought the Bone Carver, and knowing about the Weaver, it would be more like Bryaxis, where Bryaxis is this big dark cloud.
Yeah.
And I have a note here later of Bryaxis is told, just Hybern and any people help with them. Imagine being an Illyrian and the cloud just comes across you. Do you still see what you fear within it?
Yeah, I think what you fear is Bryaxis. I think whatever he is fear incarnate.
It's actually just a bunch of soldiers seeing their mother.
Their mother-in-laws hovering over them with judgmental stares, telling them they're not manly enough. Ooh. Nothing real here.
Feyre reminded the Carver and Bryaxis to only go after Hybern. Tamlin, Baron, Grayson, and Jurian arrived. Did Baron actually arrive, or was it Baron's army, is what she described? Because they didn't talk to Baron. They just talked to Eris.
Baron arrived. Tamlin drug him there by his neck.
I didn't know if Eris and his brothers killed the Baron in order to go.
Could be, but Eris said, my father's here. They're like, oh, how did Tamlin convince your father? And why is your father here? He's like, Tamlin came and drug him by his neck.
Yeah.
To be here. Therefore, I don't think he's dead yet.
Okay. Oh, and I wrote down a quote from Feyre, because it was, it was kind of rude. They had come, and Tamlin had managed to rally the force that I so gleefully destroyed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, you fucked up, Feyre. I think that was kind of her way of acknowledging that she sort of fucked him up.
Yeah.
Which is, a little too late now, so no sense crying over spilt Fey milk. But still, I enjoyed this whole interaction that they had with, what's his name?
Great. Eris, yeah. They had a whole conversation there.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that it was very to the point, and Eris is like, hey, Nolan needs orders, and Tamlin's people need orders. And they're both like, what, your people don't want fucking orders? He's like, we're handling our own shit right now. And they're going out and just burning down all the Feybane stores, which I think is super rad.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's like a classic everybody's coming together moment.
Yeah, it was a team up.
Elaine is sad from watching the war. I think sad is an understatement. I think she was vomiting at this point.
Which is sad.
Under a lot of stress. And she was sad seeing Grayson. Nesta's watching Cassian go off.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is important at all. The Weaver can smell the cauldron because Amren asked, how does the Weaver know where the cauldron is? And Feyre just answers, she can smell it. And at the time, I thought that was going to mess them up in any of their plans, but I'm pretty sure the Weavers did.
Wouldn't it be funny? Not at all really, but kind of, if Pharaoh's like, she can smell what Hybern's cooking. And then, it's like The Rock back in his glory years. I just think it's really funny. Amren's giggled at that too. Like, she has an unnaturally good sense of smell. And Amren's like, and I'm like, I think I missed why that would be funny. Oh, she's got a great sense of smell. That is hilarious. Because, she has a nose, right? Does she not have a nose?
Right now, the Weaver looks like a woman.
Can she see, or is she still blind?
I don't know.
Because that would also be a little fucked up. She has a great sense of smell because she can't see.
Like Daredevil-like skills.
What's going with? I think she's just Ray Charles out there.
I took Daredevil.
That's way better. I was like, okay, I got Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles. I can't think of any more blind people. You did great. Yeah, she's Matt Murdock in her way right through them people.
And acts like it too.
Yeah, because she's sexy like he is. I'm talking about Ray Charles.
The cauldron is about to be unleashed, and Nesta saves Cassian's life.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
It's the only time I did not appreciate the narrator's work, and it's not because I can think of a way she would do it better.
I think the only thing that I would have changed with the narration on that is to literally yell into the microphone and then turn it down.
That's exactly right.
Because it felt like in a room you yell to, it was like imitating a yell rather than actually yelling.
It reminds you when people go, the crowd goes wild, and they go, ah.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds you of.
Yeah.
And it was not fun. But the moment I really liked, other than then Cassian shows up and she acknowledges, she's like, oh, Cassian's going to be kind of pissed because he wanted to die honorably with his people. Also, she saved his life.
I kind of wanted you alive.
Yeah. I think I can understand where there'd be some real mixed messages there for Cassian. But then Rhys is like, the fuck are you doing? Get back over there and die. Really
it was really confusing when he did that because he's just very protective of all of them, but not in that moment.
Yeah, in that moment they're at work. He's in work mode. He's like, I'm your boss, motherfucker. Go.
So for Nesta to do that, that means she knew where the cauldron was going to aim. And Feyre says this, but does this mean she knows that Feyre is holding on to the cauldron later in these chapters?
I don't know.
How in tune with the cauldron is she enough to know that Feyre is with it?
It's a great point.
I don't know.
Oh, never mind. We're not there yet.
Oh, this is when I finally wrote down, did the carver look like her child while slaughtering? The answer is no. Maybe the older version of him, but definitely.
They're still your children. Our babies are growing. They're still my tiny little.
Well, it's not a 6-year-old, 8-year-old boy out there.
Is it less sad if your 22-year-old son dies or if your 8-year-old son dies? Both are very sad.
Stop.
Here's the thing. I don't think it was her kid because she wasn't weeping when he was killed. I would have been uncontrollably, knowing it's still not my child, I would have been like, "Ah." Very sad for me.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I'm wrong. Ignore me.
Chapter 71, Feyre is talking about how they're losing. It's quite a bit of dialogue of essentially just telling us they're losing. Her sisters are useless. I think they're both vomiting now. I can't remember if Nesta was. I don't think Nesta was. Maybe she was. I think she was because she was affected by the cauldron being used.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so both sisters were useless.
Just covered in blood and vomit.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Miriam and Draken show up in the east, Hybrid's in the west, on their boats. So there's boats coming from everywhere. Ships. Yeah. Little rowboats.
Yeah, well, you know, they're crossing the Delaware.
So Draken shows up, obviously. Feyre can tell that's who it is because of how he communicates, right?
The way he is. He's also a bird person she's never met before who's clearly well respected.
They have this whole conversation, and I completely forgot. They're up in the air that entire time. Because Rhys picked her up and went up into the sky, and then Draken shows up. And then they're having just full conversation up there. And he's like, well, do we want to just flap our wings, or do we want to
go to work?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's busy up there. He's like, let's get to doing the cat daddy. Okay, I got things to do.
But I also just kind of cracked off at the idea of just having a casual conversation while flying. It kind of made me think
like
of...
their wings aren't quite touching, or they're yelling to each other.
Yeah.
Their wings aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Logistically, it's wild to think about.
Or it made me just kind of think of if you were on a run, you're jogging and having a business conversation while running.
Business, but you're just jogging.
Could you, like, that's kind of what I relate.
Oh, I'm not good enough shape.
And while carrying, like you carrying me and running and having a conversation with someone.
I'm willing to try. I don't think so. I think this is where the Fae are just tough.
Yeah, just a casual conversation while flying just seemed...
We also learned where Lucien was this whole time.
Yes.
Lucien found the queen.
Yeah, but...
some company.
So their dad shows up. The dad actually, what I got from Draken, the dad is the one that put this all together. Lucien just was like, showed up, everything's all done.
Yeah.
He's just there for the boat ride.
Well, he told them where to go. They didn't know where the battle was going to be or anything like that. Lucien's like, no. You're done planning. You guys are assembled enough. We have to go like right now because we have to go here. Now, how did Lucien know where to go? We don't know.
How did Draken and Miriam know either? We don't know.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Maybe when the wall was down, Lucien winnowed. Lucien and Tamlin could still be close. Maybe he heard from Tamlin.
Yeah, okay. How the fuck did Tamlin and them know where to go? Well, Tamlin would make some sense because he was involved in it.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, Rhys and them knew the night before. It's not like they had a week's notice either. So it would make sense that Tamlin and Lucien have a bond they can speak through maybe. I thought telepathy was a night court thing. But
no, I don't think they have a bond. I just assume maybe they communicate.
Magic
like,
creatures.
Or once the wall was down, Lucien could winnow.
Yeah. I'm just saying to find the correct spot seems crazy. But I'm glad they did.
It worked out.
Logistically, I'm confused, but I'm happy about it.
Well, actually, we don't know if it worked out.
Well,
so that's what
they ended up in the right place is what I'm just kind of getting at.
That's what it ended on with chapter 71. Their dad arrives, shows up. He's been gone since book 2. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, since book 2, really.
Mm-hmm.
Because Oh my god, yeah, he's been gone for a while.
Long time.
Chapter 72, Feyre has a long monologue to explain why her dad abandoned his family.
It's a pretty good rationale for the whole thing.
I didn't really like her explanation of she's just like, he had to do this because of our safety. And he had to do this and he had to. I'm just like, there's a lot of shitty things the dad failed on long before he left.
I would say what we did learn is Feyre's lack of leaving a note is something she comes by honestly.
And that's why you always leave a note.
Yep. That's exactly it. Replenish. Anyway.
Arrested Development reference.
I love that show so much.
So the Sixth Queen is a literal firebird because...
What? The Sixth Queen is a human.
No, she's a firebird.
I missed this.
And she was attacking other ships.
I don't know what happened here. I'm turned around.
Vasa, the Sixth Queen.
I thought this was like a figurative thing.
Through Elaine's new ability, seer abilities, Feyre and the rest of her allies learn of Vasa's fate. She sees Vasa and other women kept captive by a sorcerer at a lake within the continent, hidden amongst mountains and ancient forests. Elaine mentions that the other women have feathers white as snow, and they glide across the water while Vasa rages through the sky above the lake. Her curse causes her to turn into a firebird during the day and return to her human form at night. And Lucian goes to see if he can help them win the war with Hybern and hopefully break her curse.
Okay. So at nighttime she's a person, and she's a phoenix during the day. Okay, I'm on board with it. Cool.
So yeah, she is a firebird still even at this point, and she used it to her advantage to fight Hybern out there with the ships.
Yeah, I had not considered that at all.
And I have the question, how? You didn't know either. So we learned that it had to do with the curse. Draken mentions that Rhysand has never come to visit. They learned that they were there the whole time. Be prepared to grovel. And I was really taken aback by what Rhysand said. He's like, tell that witch it goes both ways.
She's a witch.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of literal.
Yeah, I would agree.
She's a literal witch, because Rhysand wouldn't demean a woman like that.
Yeah, she's a lizard, Larry. Yes, exactly.
I didn't know she was a witch.
Well, no, neither did I. I think this is where we found out.
So Cassie and Rhysand discuss letting him go to protect Nesta while she is used as a distraction. And this is when his voice cracks, because he's like really, I think it's really setting in. Rhysand is breaking.
It's like toodaloo, big bird.
That was hard. This was sad. That made me sad.
Azriel also pops up.
Yeah, and he shows up.
And Rhysand's like, motherfucker, go get to that tree. I'm going to chain you up to it.
He's like, do it.
Like, I dare you. He's like, I'll bring that fucking tree with me, home skillet.
Yeah, and he just goes.
Yeah. Well, Rhysand's like, fine, you go do these ones. Draken, you go do these ones. Cassian, you go back there and protect the eldest Archeron.
Yeah, so Amren and Feyre, this is their turn to go. They run. I think they're glamored during this. That's what chapter 72 ends on. Chapter 73, the Weaver is near the cauldron and looks beautiful. Just shockingly beautiful.
Sexy.
And I asked you in this moment, I'm like, why? How is the Weaver even more beautiful right now?
She's sucking the life out of all those people she kills.
Yeah, so with every life she kills, she becomes more beautiful, right?
She eats their life force. Yeah.
After that, I pictured that she is just handsome Squidward.
Yeah.
Just more and more beautiful.
Big old bitties.
Just handsome Squidward is now the Weaver.
Oh, what's her real name?
Strega.
Sexy Strega. The way that she's killed is badass. It's sad.
The level of power that the king has?
Oh, it gets shown even more later. Rhysand did not stand a fucking chance. Yeah.
I don't comprehend how he has this power other than he is a wizard. Like where we mentioned, if there's witches, he's a wizard using power beyond.
And a Fey one at that.
Yeah.
He walks up and the Weaver had to have kind of known what was going to go on here.
She didn't. She was like, bow to me like the old times.
Yeah, but this is where I'm like, she was waiting for him to still be a distraction, right? She knew where she was going, and she was just waiting around there for him, basically, to show up. And he shows up, and he's like, my God, you are gorgeous. And she's like, bow like those before you did, or like what was once done, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay. And he goes to take her head in his hands. And then as soon as he reaches up faster than she can react, he goes, "Wah-gah!" Karate.
Yeah.
And he snaps her neck. And Feyre's like, I don't know if she'd have been dead because she's a death god. I think it's fine. But then he just boots her off the edge of a cliff down into where the Naga dogs
Yeah.
are. And I'm wondering what the fuck's up with those Naga dogs. Are they that powerful?
I related it to almost Ash to Fae. It's like the Naga to creatures. Like when you get killed by one of those, there is no coming back. There's just something about them specifically.
The way they digest.
Yeah, there's something about it, because even the Surreal felt that way about the Naga.
Well, and this is where I'm wondering, like, if you wanted to get rid of these Naga dogs, could you just, like, put some of that Faebane and some dog treats, toss them out there?
Yeah.
You're like, we need one sacrificial person we're going to turn into Naga treats. I don't know. I think as far as this group's plans for this battle, they seem utterly surprised by everything going on all the time. You would swear they didn't do war before this with this specific group of people.
Yeah.
Because the King of Hybern either has bags and bags of new tricks.
I think he has new tricks.
Okay, because they all seem utterly shocked by all of this stuff.
He's never had the cauldron before, and I think the book is a new thing. His spell book of something.
That's totally fair. I guess he had 500 years to prepare, and they had a month. So,
exactly.
in fairness.
At this point, after the Weaver is killed, there are no consequences for the deals that Feyre and Rhysand made. Because the biggest consequence to them unleashing the Bone Carver and the Weaver was, now that you've released them, what are you going to do next after the war, now that they are released? Like, that was the big problem to their plan. At least with Bryaxis, it was conditional of you do this and then you go back.
You get a skylight when this is all.
Yeah, but the Bone Carver and the Weaver, it was actually releasing them from their confined area, but now there's no
I think
consequences.
the Bone Carver would have gone back. The Bone Carver wasn't really confined to start with.
Well,
He could have left whenever he wanted. It wasn't prison. That was home.
yeah, but that was kind of the whole
The
thing.
Weaver
It was
thing
just
would have been a much bigger issue.
the Bone Carver was going to die no matter what because the Weaver had been released, but now the Weaver is dead. Or at least we are to assume that.
I'm assuming
pretty sure it
Weaver's
is.
dead. I think Ianthe's definitely dead.
And it's after this that Feyre touches the cauldron and Amren tosses the book. At the end of that chapter, we were furiously counting which chapter we ended on to see if we could do another chapter, because that was such a gut-wrenching, awful betrayal moment. And I think that I do believe it's not true betrayal. Like, it's betrayal to not share the plan, but it's not the betrayal that I think we're being led to believe it is.
I would agree. That's all I'm going to say. I already gave my piece on this earlier.
Yeah.
I assume there's something she has a plan for, and I assume it's like, I'm about to be unleashed. Because Rhysand also went beast mode, which hasn't happened yet.
Yes, it has. It did. In chapter 74, he transforms into his full beast mode.
That's what I'm saying. It hadn't happened prior.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. That's why I said it's Rhysand went beast mode. That has not happened before this.
Yeah.
He has done pieces and parts. Feyre specifically is like his face. His beautiful face is hideous monster face now.
She talked about how it was the way of transforming, like, contorted, and that it was like a gruesome thing to watch.
It reminds me of the like werewolf thing where like you hear their bones snap.
Yeah. Ooh,
Like,
gross.
Transformers sound effects. That's the other thing. In my brain, it was just Transformers like clunk, 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 clunk. Sound effects like Transformers when Optimus Prime turns into a semi truck. Same thing.
Same.
Same. Also, Helion went beast form.
In the complete opposite, I think it was intended to be the opposite, as in from dark to light, but they're both terrifying, when really the way she described how gruesome his transformation was, how he is a creature that looks like it should never see the light of day. And then Thesan, was that Thesan? Who is it?
Helion.
Helion transforms as the complete opposite. I'm like, is he a beautiful beast?
Yeah, Helion's thighs got a little juicier. And then he's just double cheeking up out there. I think that would be really funny. But I think it also goes to show Tamlin's beast form is not because of his shapeshifting. All the High Lords have their beast
They all have one, yeah.
Yeah.
Is Feyre's within her? She just hasn't
I think
used
it's the
it?
dragon. I think it's the thing she saw in the mirror would be her beast form.
Yeah, she just hasn't come out.
Yeah, she needs to get brave.
So chapter 74, Amren says, I'm sorry I lied to you, which I think she's honest. I think Amren
It's a
has
hilarious thing to say after, I'm sorry I lied to you. Well, at least she's honest. Wait a minute. I don't know.
I think Amren has a plan and we just can't know about it, us, the readers. And then I was like, oh, that would be a wild fourth wall break because she goes across dimensions if she's actually aware of us existing.
Wouldn't it be even funnier if she's like, I'm going back to my home world. This one's shot. She just leaves. Is this before, I don't know the timeline. Is this before Nesta and the King of Ybern have their bout?
Yes.
Okay.
That's just about to happen.
All right.
Because
Let you start that bad boy.
Feyre puts her hand on the cauldron and she feels it kind of eating her away. But you did point out, not to the degree that it did before. And she's taken on this journey across the war, the battle that's happening. So she's watching it and watching it. Almost like how dreams are described of when like a person's about to die.
Cauldron is where wings take dream.
Oh. So she watches Rhys take his form. She watches all kinds of things happening.
That's my George W. Bush quote for anybody paying attention.
I will ask this one now because it reminded me of it. Is she literally moving with it? When this was described, I thought she was mentally moving with the cauldron. The cauldron was like, in essence, moving across the battlefield to Nesta. Or is it literally a big tub, just Mickey Mouse magic style? Do you remember that? Or does that not make sense to you?
Anastasia?
Yes, where Mickey Mouse gets all the items to sweep and move and clean and dance.
Fantasia.
Maybe?
I think is what that was. Not Anastasia. Anastasia was a different Disney movie. Yeah, I think Fantasia is where Mickey Mouse gets the brooms and stuff to start doing his work for him. Sort of style.
Yeah, and is that what Nesta is doing to the cauldron as it's moving across? Is it literal? Or because I thought it was just the essence until later where it is used as a weapon. And then I was like, oh, Feyre is physically there with it, you know, for it to be used as a weapon.
No, I think it's figurative. I think it's non-corporeal, like its presence is there, soul sort of, so to speak.
So the power from it is leaving Nesta, though. She's pulling the power from it and it goes through her.
Yeah. So I think of it as the cauldron is a vessel that contains magic from this well. And I think Nesta is drawing from this same well the cauldron is. Like the cauldron is a conduit and Nesta is also a conduit. Does that make sense?
Yes, but that doesn't fall into what I think she took from the cauldron.
I don't know.
So she sees Rhys shift. She sees Helion shift. And an unnamed commander of Hybern comes out. And it kind of irked me that an unnamed commander of Hybern is a match for Rhys and Helion in their full form.
Rhys or Helion, right? Both of them aren't fighting him.
Okay.
Helion says, I got this motherfucker. Rhys, you go over and do important shit over there. And Rhys is off to do other important shit.
Either way, the spells from an unnamed commander versus Rhys in the form which we have not seen because it is so intense really showed a display of power on Hybern's side in their spell abilities.
Yeah, their power. I have questions also about this.
Witches.
Those sons of bitches. We haven't heard anything about Azriel now in a minute. We've heard about every other
off fighting. Yeah,
but while Feyre's off doing her non-corporeal thing
Yeah.
to her, so to speak, we don't hear about Mor. We have no idea where Mor is.
No.
We don't know where Tamlin is, but we're assuming he's off fighting some bad guys.
Yep.
We're assuming the same thing of Azriel, but Azriel was going out there kind of half-mast anyway. Like, he's a hurting unit. And he doesn't have his magic sword, because Elaine has that. I don't know, I'm worried for our boy.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, you did give that theory. No, we're not even talking about that one, because that's not going to happen. You said, what if Azriel dies?
Oh, yeah.
And then Mor doesn't come out to him and tell him, like,
I forgot I said that.
Any of that.
Bad. Yeah. Ooh.
None of that. No. Only good vibes.
In war? I feel like it's different. Go ahead. Sorry.
This is when Feyre is with the cauldron and she feels the cauldron pull back, right? Because Nesta is calling it. I think Nesta took the equivalency of an halter or a leash from it.
Oh, like a lead rope?
Yes. I think she took the main leash of the cauldron, and that is what has held up the King of Hybern to do what he's been doing, because they pointed out before they even got to any of this area, when they were still planning, that, oh, he must be doing this. Why is he doing this? Oh, because he still needs something from Nesta. He can use the cauldron, but I don't think he can to his full power, because Nesta has essentially like a leash on it. And Nesta is yanking on the leash, and the cauldron kind of pulls back like a dog would, and then it comes to her calling. And there's several times that Feyre describes it like a dog to her, and that it is listening to its master. I think that's what she took. And it's not obviously a literal leash, but whatever binds the cauldron to listen to a master is what Nesta took.
Interesting. Huh. I think that's a neat idea.
Yeah. The king has the father.
Son of the Holy Ghost. Amen. The
father, their dad, never got to see Elaine.
Or Feyre.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah. He only got to look at Nesta. Nesta does offer back what she took, even if it meant the king carving it out of her. And he didn't take her up on it. He just killed her dad.
I think he was still going to carve it out of her.
Oh, there was no deal that was needed to be made, because he's like, it's not up to you. I'm going to do it, deal or no deal.
Yeah, I think it was more of a question than a proposal.
Or a rhetorical question. Like, I'm just saying this just to toy with you.
Well, I would say that he still maybe wanted the answer, is the only reason I didn't run rhetorical. But I think you could be right. I'm just suggesting, he's like, oh, would you be willing to trade your father for that? And she's like, yes. He's like, I was really curious about that, and then snaps his neck anyway. He's like, well, either way, I'm going to take it out of you. Because he doesn't need it. He doesn't need to make a deal with her.
No. He
can just do what he wants.
But after
how fucking beefy he is. He takes a hit from her at point blank range.
All of the cauldron's power. So what took out
all the cauldron?
She drained it.
I thought she drained her reserve of the cauldron's power.
Yeah.
But this is where
you're right.
See it
you're right. Yeah.
I see it as like the cauldron is filled off of this well, or this well of power. The cauldron contains this much of the magic. Nesta just built like a branch line on of that, where she has some of that power too, just not the volume the cauldron has.
Yeah. And I think this is the actual moment of the vision Elaine had of Cassian and his mangled wings. And he's like, oh, it's nothing that'll take me out. And she's like, I don't know. And so we're left on this note that he might not make it.
But this is the thing. He keeps getting his ass kicked. This is the third time. I guess it's the second time since her vision.
Really?
Still, he's really involved in war.
This one is really...
very sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what were you feeling when he was telling her to leave him? Where Cassian's like, go, hide, like, be gone. Having kind of his old Yeller moment, so to speak.
I didn't take it that way. I took it as him just giving his goodbye to her and saying that this short time that we were together in this way, I would do it again.
But before that moment, he was telling her to run away. He started that way, and then he, through the blood and all the nastiness, he's telling her to run as his bones are being crushed in his wings.
I'm just sad rethinking about it. I don't even have many thoughts other than sadness.
That's okay.
And then she covered him up, and she like used the cauldron to like blast power at the king, but the king winnowed away. Like, she's fighting for him, and I'm so sad right now.
So badass.
The king is insane.
The king winnows from that, and he's like, oh, that was super cool. Like, not trained or refined, but it's just a raw thing to do. That was badass. He's like, too bad, I'm still gonna have to kill you. And then he creeps up on her, she gets smacked.
So she tries fighting him too. She grabs the sword, and Cassie is trying to like stop her, like, just go, just leave, please. And she tries fighting him. And at some point, she does hit him because he like crushes through trees and he's flying. And then she goes back to talk to Cassian and have their heart to heart. And then that's when the king shows back up, and he's like slowly walking back.
So when she first goes to Cassian, after he winnows away when she tries to blast him with cauldron juice, right?
Yeah.
She runs up to Cassian, acts like she's there to just cuddle him. And then the king comes up. She grabs a sword and she's like, I'm going to fucking take you out. And he's like, you're not very good at swords. So he disarms her almost immediately.
Yeah.
He grabs her and then he fucking just hits her across the face. She flies down into the dirt. Then she gets up when he's like, oh, you poor sweet idiot. I'm going to fucking murder you. And he's like, I want that power. And she's like, here's your power back. And then she goes, boom, blasts him in the chest. And he's flying through trees. He's gone. He's a mile out there just blowing through trees all the way back, right? I thought it was just going to be like a hole in this dude.
No, he survives it.
Not only does he survive, he survives it well. He comes back a little bruised up and he's like, good job.
He's like,
now
finally.
You're empty on juice, but Christ, that was cool.
It's like I finally met my match, and then you're still just not good enough.
Yeah, he's so fucking cool. And then the weirdest thing to me is then Elaine, out of nowhere, ninjas, I'm assuming out of a ship.
But right before she gets there, Feyre tries to bargain with the cauldron. And I'm just kind of chuckling at the idea. She's like, everyone makes bargains with me. I can get a new tattoo so easy. Like,
I'm a wheeler dealer. Let me get you where you want to be.
I've done this before. We're going to tattoo number 6. Please.
So I'm hoping dolphin. Her fingers are crossed.
But yeah, I pictured Elaine just hiding, terrified. Threw up a few times on her way over there.
You would think the smell alone would give her away.
Oh,
I think the smell, D.
I'm so sad. And she's amazing. Elaine did so good.
I have a thought on this too, though. Elaine manages to pop up from behind the King of Hybern, who seems to be hyper aware of everything going on around him, other than Nesta now has blasted him senseless a little. Do you think that Azriel helped hide her in shadow? And then she came up behind him and just right through the back of his neck. Hold on.
That would be so cute.
Wouldn't it be adorable? Now, here's my other thing, though. This dude just took a full-on blast from that cauldron. Unscathed, pretty much, right? How sharp is his fucking sword? Right through the neck. Just, whoop. She bisects his esophagus. I assume he's dead.
I think he is a fae, just like every other High Lord, and has their classic level of power. Less than Rhysand is my assumption at his regular baseline, but he has spells, and that he has a spell that he's just like, just in case that cauldron is ever used against me, he has a spell to protect him against the cauldron. I have a spell to protect me against this power from this one. And he just never considered that he'd get a knife wound.
I think that's a really great idea. It would be like Kevlar is super effective against bullets, but not really against like sharp arrows.
Yeah,
that makes total sense.
I didn't consider that a small, newly fae girl would stab me. What are you going to do? Stab me?
Exactly.
That's the guy who got stabbed.
No, I think you're 100. I think that's a really great way to put it. I think you're 100% right. Because I was just thinking, I'm like, he should have had a hole in him from what Nesta did. And
But he has spells, and if you're using that weapon, you would likely protect
but
yourself
also,
against.
how sharp is this knife? Have you just cut chicken? Just cut chicken with a knife. It isn't super sharp.
I don't think their
Through
bodies.
chicken is hard.
I don't think their bodies are any different than our bodies as far as the sensitivity to getting cut. They heal faster.
Attempt to stab through the side of somebody. Like, this is relatively soft tissue side to side, but front to back, you're going through spinal cord, homie. That's got to be a very sharp knife, is all I'm saying.
I don't even know if he's actually dead yet, because,
But we know he got stabbed.
well,
Through the neck.
but we've talked about, unless it's an ash weapon, I think they only die if it goes through their head or their heart.
And I think, okay, so what I'm envisioning is this knife stabs through his neck. In order to get it out of there, she twists a little bit, the head falls off.
Yeah, she would have had to have beheaded him
She's gonna
to take him
behead
out.
him, right? It's a sharp knife. It does this.
I'm surprised she didn't cut herself, like cutting towards herself, and she gets.
Remember, cut toward your body, not your body. It just it does it correctly. No, I'm more so, I guess I'm like, okay, so Truth Teller's a badass knife. And he says, it's been said that it's magical. We didn't have Lucian look at it, so we don't know. But it always strikes true, blah, blah, blah. She's got the sharp knife. She's not a big girl. She's a very frail young lady who's barely eaten in the last few months.
She eats broth.
This is the thing, she has most of her meals through a twisty straw. And now she's the one that takes out the King of Hybern.
Love it.
Yeah, I think it's amazing, but you cannot tell me there aren't some high lords looking at this being like, fuck, man.
This is a
Wish I'd
story.
thought of that.
This is a story about sisters.
See, it's
Not.
a story of a girl. All right. That's a good point. It's just a sister story.
I think it is.
Like Tia and Tamara Mowry.
I don't get it.
They had a show called Sister Sister. They were twins on Disney Channel.
Oh my God.
Doesn't matter. Or they were the same person.
Oh, you.
Oh, you. Doesn't matter. Somebody get that joke. The Mowry sisters were very influential in my youth.
I'm still so emotional over these chapters. This book.
I'm so excited. We're finishing this book tonight.
We have to. Yeah. Do you have any other things about the stuff that has happened?
I should stop now while I'm behind. I would say
Anything about her dad? Anything more? I mean, like, he came back and died. That was so fast.
Weirdly, I think it was the right call. Because if he had come back, what could have redeemed him for being such a useless piece of shit all those years while they were nearly starving?
Feyre forgave him just for seeing him and naming the ships after them.
Yeah, we as readers, I don't think there was an option that would have satisfied what I wanted to see.
Nesta, it was so ice cold, but good. Like, she fought for his life by bargaining her life for him. But as soon as his neck snapped and he fell, Feyre says she didn't react, just continued to stare at the king.
And she has a cold line was like, I am going to kill you.
I really thought it was going to be Nesta that did it.
Yeah, me too. She's the one out there throwing cauldron powers around. The fact that it was Elaine, I was like, what? And then when it was like the blade punched through his neck, I'm like, Truth Teller! I was so excited. And also, Truth Teller is a black blade. Like, visually, again, just imagining this from a visual perspective, Feyre got a show.
Yeah, she's just stuck to the cauldron right now.
So let's assume the king is dead, right? Just for funsies. Let's
Azriel is still alive.
Okay.
We are holding on to that.
Yep.
I don't
We're
like your
assuming
theory.
I didn't say it was a theory. I said, what if? I don't know. I'm wrong most of the time. Don't take anything I'm saying to heart. I've been wrong for 75% of my predictions.
And Amren gets unleashed. That would be, at least you mentally prepared me for that option.
Well, again, I don't think that's going to happen. The only reason I'm even considering that as an option is they bring up that the King of Hybern didn't lie to his people to incentivize this war. They are deeply dissatisfied people. The King of Hybern being gone does not mean that they're going to win this war.
Yeah.
Like, they could still lose, and we still haven't heard anything from the 3 other places. Montserrat.
Yes.
The other 2.
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up because those places haven't showed up yet.
Yeah, and that seems like those would also be very tricky things to navigate. especially because there doesn't appear to be any other human forces left to help you fight. We have gathered everybody that is like-minded already, and they couldn't take out Hybern in a real honest fight. So whatever's going on, the only reason I suggested maybe Amren has to be unleashed is you had Hybern, that you're still trying to win this. If the other two show up, what do you do?
So why couldn't, I don't understand the being locked up in a body type of thing, like the Bone Carver and the Weaver and Bryaxis had to take a new form to come out there and fight. But Amren is able to be unleashed to her original self, but Bone Carver, Weaver, and Bryaxis couldn't.
They weren't prisoners in the same way, though. The Bone Carver was not a prisoner of that place. He chose to be there.
The Weaver was a prisoner?
The Weaver she was a prisoner of this area, right? That happened post everything else. Because there was a time where they just roamed these lands freely. I don't think Amren was ever a creature that roamed the earth until she decided to leave. I think Amren was imported to that jail as a beast that was too dangerous to be out there.
I thought the Bone Carver, Weaver, and Bryaxis were going to be more badass than Rhysand.
I think they are. I think that's kind of
But two of them are dead.
Yeah. The only reason Rhysand's not dead is he didn't get hit directly by the cauldron. And he didn't end up close enough to the King of Hybern. I would say if the King of Hybern is a general that's a challenge for Rhysand, then Rhysand is not as powerful as the King of Hybern was spelled up. And also that blast straight from the cauldron that Nesta gave tells us that without beheading the King of Hybern, he wasn't going to die.
Yeah.
Because that is, from what we've been shown, the cauldron's light, the magic that spews forth from that bad boy, pretty much is like an eraser. It just gets rid of shit. Vaporizes things.
Yeah.
And Feyre says where that thing went through the air and cleared out all those Lyrians, it just rained ash.
And also when Nesta missed, it just kept going and going.
Yeah, like it's a big deal. So I would say, I think Amren at some point gets unleashed because I think Amren's probably the scariest monster there.
Probably. I picture the cauldron power being like a massive spotlight almost, like where you flash it on and then off.
Like the bat signal going up.
Yeah. And it's just like, brrr, it's just going across.
It's just making that hum.
And it does have a hum to it.
Which is awesome. In a follow-up question, though. So do you think, first of all, did Bryaxis get taken out?
Not yet.
Okay, good. Well, maybe not at all. Maybe Bryaxis gets his goddamn skylight.
Yeah, he gets to enjoy the rest of his life.
Put the cauldron in the basement and shoot a light straight upward, and now he's got a skylight.
Bryaxis has to die because I don't see them putting in the effort to go talk to Bryaxis for the rest of their lives.
No, it's just a skylight. He needed a visitor. Come see him once in a while. I think Feyre could go see him once in a while.
They've gotten out of all of their other deals. I think they're getting out of his deal.
I hope not. I hope they have to make good on this one. That's what I made them for. And then I hope when they have a child that looks like the Bone Carver, they name it Bone Carver.
What? You look like an old friend of mine, child. We don't know his last name.
So we'll call him Archeron.
Sometimes I think they have last names because I'll type in these unusual names in hashtags to social media and it'll suggest odd additions to these names that I'm like, is this your last name or is there
Sandy Beaches?
Is there someone out there with the name Amren something or Lucian something?
Lucian La Siniera or whatever.
Oh, we do know his last name.
That was not it, but it was something like that. Lucian Siniera.
Well, this is a great note to end on.
Jeez, that was a while back. This is a fair note to end on. 10 minutes ago was a great note. How do you feel? Are you excited?
I feel devastation.
Oh.
Because I think I'm going to be sad.
Oh, I think so.
I think someone I like is going to die.
Yeah. I should not have predicted Amren, but I think it has to be Amren. What else?
I made a joke about it in the 2 episodes ago, but I thought it was a fun little joke. I didn't think it was going to be serious.
Look, we all laughed. What a hilarious joke Veronica made. Did you hear it? That's where this went.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said I'd quit reading this when Amren dies. I'll make an exception if she does something super heroic and dies. And if they just kill her off the way, they killed the King of Hybern, fuck this book series. I like that Elaine got to do it, but what an unclimactic end to that guy.
Yeah, I think he just wasn't prepared for a knife wound.
Wouldn't it have been cool if Elaine had like a super secret squirrel power instead, where it was just
touches him.
Yeah. Like, she is love. She touches him. And
she gives him a hug.
Yeah.
And cries.
She touches him and he begins to weep. I think that would be really cool. And then, what's her name? Nesta comes over and just cauldron blasts him right through the face. Just boom, straight up into the sky, and then he would have been done.
I love you.
I love you.
You're my bestie.
You're my bestie.
And I hope your theory isn't right.
Me too. I'm so wrong.
It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here, TikTok or Instagram at Shadow Daddies Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.